Good morning, everybody, and a happy Saturday morning to you. I hope you all can hear me loud and clear. I have a few things to go over before we bring everybody on. Let's go over the FBI warnings. Warning: federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This is called the Fair Use Act and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which we never do on this channel, I guess. Well, I'm lying to you. We always do. Which doesn't infringe upon the copyright under Section 17, subsection 107 of the Fair Use Act. Okay. Furthermore, Nighthawk High Strangeness podcast channel, a.k.a. the notorious William Nighthawk, and all of its podcasts claim fair use of any and all content, that's any and all content, to be used for the sole purpose of informing you, the viewing family, of information for educational purposes and general knowledge only per Title 17 USC subsection 107. Whew. All right. Okay, this other one to read to you, and I'll put my professional voice on I'll put my radio face on. Okay, where is it? Let's see. I think this is it. There we go. All right, my radio face. This series presents information based in part on theory and conjecture. The producer's purpose is to suggest some possible explanation, but not necessarily the only ones, to the mysteries we will examine. All right. That being said and done, let me go down here so you can all see my bright, shiny face. All right, let's see here. Where am I? There I am. Haha, fooled you. You all thought you were going to see me. Guess not. I'm going to be in and out of this broadcast all morning because I've got a sick Jacob on my hands and no wife right now because she's out with a friend doing shopping. So, needs to be done. So, I can do it. So, I'll be jetting in and out. Well, the host, Dennis, and our special guest host today and tomorrow. I suppose you all probably already have guessed it since we're talking about UFOs and aliens and all the weird stuff associated with it today. Starting off, at least, until we go completely off the rails. And we always do. We always go off the rails with this channel. So, I'm going to be bringing on Gerald from Midwest Night Watch and Dennis W. Carroll, the acclaimed author, political critic, and restaurant critic. And what other critics does Gerald or Dennis have and Gerald have? Gerald, what kind of critics are you? Let's see. You got to be. You look like you're more of a shave and a haircut critic and a razors club only for men critic. So let's see if I get 2 chuckles out of each of those. If not, I'm doing really bad this morning on my short books. So, anyways, I'm going to bring my brothers from my other mothers on. And wow, I can't even believe I got that out. Anyways, I'm going to bring them on and get this picture off the screen here eventually on me. Otherwise, I don't know what's going to be better is looking at them or looking at this. We'll have to wait and see. So,
Good morning,
Morning, good gentlemen.
Hope you had a good night.
Morning.
Good morning.
Oh, yeah, we had a good night. Good morning. And our guest,
well, how's my, what's going on with my
caster
boy Jacob there?
Oh, he's got a bit of a, well, you know how dogs will like try to like get at a certain spot on them to I don't know if it's allergies or whatnot, or if it's just an itch. And they'll try to gnaw at it and, you know, just scratch it and all that until it's basically raw. Or their muscles hurt because of it, all the action and bending and twisting and leg movement. He's just, Tracy went to take him out this morning, and she went to pick him up, and he gave a little bit of a yawn. And when she was outside with him this morning, she said that he had a hard time moving and started acting like he was favoring one side. So we'll see what happens. She's out right now, and I've got him on the couch, so I'm going to be checking in and out, you know, with him while you guys continue the conversation.
And do what you gotta do. What you gotta do, sir.
Here's this Dennis. Remember remember the bag I said I was going to give away? Yeah, this bag I give away to the person on Into the Fire podcast, and she won. And
nice looking medicine bag there. Yeah.
Her,
yeah, I like that.
I asked her what I put on the medicine bag, and she said just a feather. So I put feather. So
that looks good.
Yeah,
very nice.
Anyways, we're gonna get into the subject of UFOs, aliens, men in black, portals, and all that cool stuff. Since we got Gerald here today, and tomorrow. And then if we go off the rails, we go off the rails. I'm going to leave that completely up to you guys. So hope everybody's got their coffees ready and whatever else they're doing. At this time in the morning on a Saturday morning, I'm guessing you're either drinking coffee with bourbon in it, or Kent, or cinnamon schnapps, or you're drinking tea, or you're probably smoking a rolled one. So anyways, I want to wish everybody a good morning. Let's see here. Let's see who we got in the chat so we can name some people out there.
Right here. Got my liquor right here.
There
there you go. If we were British, we'd be drinking tea.
We have Darcy in the house. She's driving her dad around this morning. Yeah, true. We got Irene. Good morning. David and Scott.
If we were British, we would be stopping for tea time, right? Which is 4 o'clock. Oh, we won't be here that long, I don't think.
Might need another Boston Tea Party.
Yeah.
Right. We have North Carolina Cryptids and Paranormal Project, which NCCPP is probably easier than North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal Project. So, Thomas.
I'm gonna start the ball rolling.
Okay.
I'm gonna make this statement that I live in a very hot area for UFOs, and we have a very interesting type of UFOs, the orbs, you know, that people see. The red, some of them are red, some of them are white, different colors. You hardly ever hear of any of them being supposedly green, a green color, but we have the orbs, and they do some very strange things in the sky. And I've said this before, and you know, you come out the other day about what the U.S. government said, that there may be a mother ship putting out probes. And I've often thought that these type of orb things and the way they move and all that would be fit the perfect description of orbs. They may be surveilling us for some reason, or just playing around with us. But I've had a lot of cases. We'll see what you guys think about it. But I've had a lot of cases where people have come to me and say that they're being harassed by these lights and UFOs. I mean, they go outside and they always see one, or one follows them around. What do you think about that? Do you think that certain people are under surveillance, or do you think that there's some other type of an explanation for that?
Well,
Gerald, you want to take that one?
yeah, just like if we would go to another planet ourselves, our mission would probably be to send out exploratory probes, just like they're doing to us. So that makes perfect sense to me. And whether they're specifically watching somebody in particular, it could be, that could be depending on their frequency, or or what they're putting out towards the universe, and maybe they're attracted to people and studying them.
It could be possibly that some people are more sensitive to these things, and they kind of pick up on that. You think so? That maybe they're singling out certain people that may be open or more sensitive to these things, because, like I said, some people are being harassed by these things.
Well, maybe it's part of the government program too. They're the ones that are being harassed.
Uh-huh.
Give that man a cigar. Give that man a cigar. He deserves it there. That was a good one there. The second one, I'm going to tend to go with, because it makes perfect sense that if you're going to do a false flag event, aren't you going to say there's a big mothership up in the sky that we can't see, and all drones and stuff that are highly advanced that we don't know about right now because they're so highly advanced that our military has, that they have done research and development on all across the country and in certain areas, like Area 51, Area 52, Dugway Proving Ground, Wright-Patterson. It would make perfect sense that if you got all compact, square or round orb-looking drones, that you would say, oh, they're just surveillance craft from a mothership that's parked outside in our galaxy. But you can't see it because even though we have all this technology and telescopes out there, we can't see it.
It's probably close
because we're just normal citizens.
If they have a higher technology like that, they can definitely cloak their mothership to keep it from being seen. And another thing, the way these orbs move, and since we're talking about orbs right now, I'm not getting into the craft kind of a thing, but the way these orbs move, they kind of remind me of the way drones move. I'm talking about drones that you can buy, and play around with. The way they can move in the sky and all that. I think what we may possibly be seeing are some type of an alien drone that, like I always said, may be engaging in surveillance, and who knows what else, what other kind of nefarious things they may be up to. They may be getting actually. They may be helping out with the cattle mutilations, some of the abductions that are supposedly taking place. These things could be a part of that. They could be part of the actual work that these things are doing.
Well, I have
you
no
gotta have
doubt.
eyes. You gotta have eyes to see what you're doing.
I have no doubt that there's probably aliens or UFOs, whatever they are, sending out reconnaissance drones or whatever. But just like Williams says, you can't put it past the government to put out false flags and then use their own drones to harass or spy on people also. So it could be a little bit of both.
Well, here's my spin on it. It doesn't surprise me, and I've said this before many times, that the government is in bed with these forces. Okay, they're in league with them, and certain people in this world will sell their own people out, their own world out to get power and influence and money. The government's no different than these certain individuals. If it's something that helps them out and help them whatever their plan is, they would definitely go in. They'd sell their soul to the devil for that matter. I mean, that doesn't surprise me a bit. That some of this is not human, attributed as well.
Right.
What do you think about Thomas's comment here?
I've heard about that supposition that maybe the Chinese were tracking or trying to find a lot of our underground military bases using that. If you look at that Chinese weather balloon, or supposed weather balloon, I call it spy balloon, you will see a big array of radar-looking type stuff on the bottom of it, and some other kind of antenna type looking thing before they shot it down. That it could have been doing anything like that. It could have been trying to find out exactly where the secret underground military bases are, where the nuclear silos are. It was up to some very nefarious things. But what really bugged me about that whole balloon incident is that thing should have been shot down on the shores of Alaska before it ever reached here. That was a stupid move. And they come out and said later, oh, well, our radar wasn't set for balloons. Why not? That's a stupid excuse. That should have never been part of the thing. That radar should have been set from day one like that, because balloons have existed since before World War II. They've used them, that was a stupid excuse. Somebody
Tell us
let this country be caught with our pants down. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, just like in
also one thing you've got to consider too.
Loaded balloons across the United States with the lamps and the candles trying to set our West Coast forests on fire. So you can't tell me they don't know about balloons floating across the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, balloons don't act like a crap.
That happened back in World War II. There were some
balloons
attacks by the Japanese
crap,
on this country. Yeah. In California, there's been a lot of weird stuff that went on in California back in the 40s and 50s. I would advise people, if you want to do some interesting research, you might want to look up the Joyita. The Joyita was actually some kind of an observation type ship that everybody on board of it disappeared, and it landed in California. Nobody knows to this day exactly what happened to the people. Look it up. It's very interesting research. The Joyita was what it was called, but it was like an observation balloon, half ship kind of thing. Anyway, there was a lot of that went on back in World War II, especially with the Japanese and all that. And I think there was one instance where they actually did set a forest on fire or something in California with a balloon. So this technology is not something new. I mean, it's been around. Oh my God, they've been putting balloons up since the Civil War. They put balloons up during the Civil War, by the way, for observation. So this is nothing new. And like I say, for them to come up with that excuse, our radar wasn't set for balloons, that's stupid. Some heads need to roll for that. I mean, that's really very, in my book, being almost like a traitor type of a situation to this country. It looks like to me somebody's cooperating with the enemy more or less than trying to fight them off. It's crazy.
You brought up World War II and the crazy incidents. I think I sent both of you an article linking to the Battle of Los Angeles, where they actually think they had a UFO come in. They couldn't identify it, and they had all the military guns pointed at it, and they shot so many rounds out, they just lit up the sky and actually shot something down, and they believe it was a UFO.
Well, like back in World War II, you had the very famous Foo Fighters, too,
Well,
they shot at them and couldn't do anything with them. They would follow the ships, the airplanes, over occupied Germany sometimes. Very interesting stuff, the Foo Fighters. And you had a lot of that going on back in World War II. That was way before Roswell. You know?
Yeah. But all the jet pilots and stuff are talking about these small orbs and square drone-looking objects being real tiny in size, and yet when they come up on them, they blow right past them like they're standing still. Okay, that these orbs and stuff that they're seeing aren't really even moving; they're just hovering there. So you have to think, that's some pretty good technology. If you've got no aerodynamic way of keeping that thing up in the air, whether it's a propeller or a prop or something, or a jet engine, anti-gravity device, anything, but they're not even commenting about them having any kind of like disorientation of atmosphere around them either. They're just claiming that they're orbs and that they're square objects and round objects in the sky that they're told to investigate. And when they fly up on them, they zoom right past them because they're standing still. There's no way to really investigate it. You can't stop a jet in midair. So,
well, here's the thing about it, William. It appears to me that there's something not being said here by the government. They're not quoting or saying anything about this possible technology that they're encountering here, being so far more advanced than the things that they've got. They're not saying anything about that, and that makes me wonder. Why? Why aren't they stating the very obvious things going on here? They could say, "Well, hey, these whoever this is, they've got us way, they've went way past us in this stuff." If when you fly in an airplane, you have to take a certain amount of G's, and that plane can only hold up to a certain amount of G's. Even jet fighters have to know how far to go before they can push the envelope on it, or they will break apart in the sky. These things seem to go completely past that. They think that they don't worry about the G forces or the aerodynamics or whatever it is they're doing. That's what makes me think that most of this activity has to be some type of an alien thing. I just don't see that where we have that technology to equal that, unless we got it from aliens. I mean, there's got to be an alien connection. Like you said last night, William, everything's connected. And there's got to be a connection with all of this, definitely. I think that there is a definite alien connection. That's the very famous UFO from World War, the latter part of World War II. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that is definitely probably the reason that most people were seeing disc-shaped objects back in the day. But I remember seeing the first photograph ever as a child of a UFO, and it literally looked like a top hat. Okay, literally like a top hat. And I believe it was taken in 1939 or something like that, or 1938, on a farm. And just seeing that in I realize some people take trash can lids and they'll throw them up in the air and they'll take a picture of them and say, "Oh, it's a UFO," But there's all kinds of weird, curious reasons for stuff.
You know what the basic shape of a real UFO is? I mean, this has been recorded throughout history, and it's a cigar-shaped UFOs. You remember those? Yeah. You hear about those a lot, more so than the flying saucer type UFOs. I think it was Kenneth Arnold when he described those things he saw over the mountains that day, and that was back in the 40s. He described them as being more like boomerang-shaped type craft. They did. He didn't. He said they would fly like a saucer if you threw a saucer in the flood, but he wasn't really describing their actual shape. Like he said that they were more like. Later on, he talked about they were more like a boomerang shape, like a ship. So the flying saucer is a classic thing, and I think a lot of the flying saucer thing was a prototype put forth by Hollywood, okay, in a lot of their movies and stuff, and that got into the consciousness of people. When you think of UFOs, you immediately think of a flying saucer, you know. If you go back and look at what the Nazis were developing, and like we've talked about it before, William, it was a bell-shaped looking ship. Craft, it wasn't a saucer looking thing at all. But you're right. What the government, what the United States government had back in the day, would have contributed to a lot of these so-called flying saucer sightings because they had ships. It looked like what you see there in that picture, definitely. And they took them up, flying them around. They didn't just roll them out on the airport tarp and let them sit there. They had to get out and fly them, I'm sure.
Now, what do you think about different species of aliens having different shaped ships? Maybe that's why we're seeing cigar. Maybe that's why we're seeing TikTok shapes. Maybe that's why we're seeing triangles and.
To me, I tell you what makes me suspicious of that, Gerald, is the fact that maybe we're dealing with not only extraterrestrials, but interterrestrials. These could possibly be different ships from different civilizations, and some of them may be right here on this planet or inside this planet for all we know. We could be dealing with different things here. It cannot just be one thing, you know what I'm saying? And that might attribute to the fact that there's so many different shapes, sizes to these things. Some of them are described as rocket ships. Some of them described as round spheres. The list goes on and on and on, And you have to wonder what the heck is going on with this. Is everybody up there got their own different ship? There's not a fleet of them. There's not, a prototype here.
Right.
I have to wonder if some of it's not coming from interterrestrial beings that might be probing us with different type ships or something. It's an interesting question that's been raised for many, many years in UFOlogy. But the interesting thing too, there might be another aspect to it too. It could possibly be some of these sightings are ships from the future.
Yeah.
And they could be coming back in time. They could be some type of time traveling things. So there could be a lot of different reasons for the different shapes and of the different crafts, supposedly. If you go back to the Bible and read that very interesting account in Ezekiel, the book of Ezekiel, where he saw the wheel inside of the wheel, and if you go back and look at the actual description of that, he is really describing a sphere inside of a sphere kind of a thing. But he couldn't the only thing he could equate it to, the only thing technological wise that he knew in that day was a wheel, But if you go back and look and actually go to a drawing of what he described, it's like a sphere inside of a sphere. And it sounds very much like some type of a probe, if you go back and read the description on it. So you have to wonder, maybe some of these ships could be probes sent from the future, from a future far advanced than us, That's a possibility as well.
Right. Yeah, well, if you get back to inner Earth, I mean, it makes sense that you have the TikTok or cigar shapes. They'd be able to come through the tunnels easier. And then you have Mount Shasta. They say there's a doorway that opens up and ships come out of it. Well, they are more flat and more triangle that come out of there, so they'd be able to come out of crevices and cracks in the mountains.
And another thing, you would have to have certain kind of ships to go through portals or wormholes, You'd have to devise certain craft to do that. But what we're looking at, let me put it this way. What we're probably looking at when you get to these craft, they're not extra galactic type things. The great vast distances of space rules that out. It would take you hundreds of thousands of years to go from point A to point B, even at the speed of light. So what you're looking at may be ships designed to go through wormholes or portals to go from point A to point B. That's a smart way to travel. You don't have you cut out all that distance. Um, and that may be attributed to what some of these different crafts look like because they're made for certain things, or certain
Now,
circumstances.
what do you think about the inhabitants of these ships, like the little grays? I've heard and people talking on other shows about how they are more of an AI inside of a body or a shell, that so they don't have to have life sustaining capabilities, that they're not really life form that we know of.
Look at the very famous cryptid, the Flatwoods Monster. That sounds to me like a darn robot to me. Some kind of robotic probe. It's not what you would describe as a biological type monster. You know what I'm saying? So you have to wonder how many of these aliens that have been seen are really, what they appear to be. They may be something completely different. And that's what throws them into the category of the bad guys to me. What are they hiding? Why are they putting forth a different image for us to see? What's going on with that? There is a connection with that as well. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna be doing a show pretty soon that's called the Alien and Demonic Connection to these things. You've got a distinct demonic smell to some of this stuff. It makes you wonder what the heck is going on with this, But if there are different species involved in this, like the Nordic type looking, the tall white people, or you've got the grays, you've got the reptilians, you've got the insectoid type praying mantis looking people, supposedly. You've got several different races that are supposedly described as being inhabitants of some of these ships. You have to wonder, why are they so interested in planet Earth? Good old planet Earth, an outback kind of a planet way out in the middle of nowhere. Why are they so interested, if they're coming from great distances, even through wormholes to get to us? You have to wonder what the heck is going on with that,
Well, I'm under the impression that we got a great reset coming, and they're all coming here to experience the great event.
Yeah, that's been talked about for quite some time now, and part of that could be alien related. We don't know, But the Great Reset is coming, definitely. And it's going to be, I think, carried out through the UN. It's going to be carried out through other auspices. You got to question something about this, Gerald, and this is the fact: what is so much UN equipment, bases, and all that doing on American soil? And not just in America, it's in Canada, Australia, all over the world. They've got these bases in place. You have to wonder why.
I agree with Wild Bill. Yeah, I agree with Wild Bill, guys. I agree with Wild Bill's statement. Aliens walk among us as we speak. And, they have been here for probably millions of years, since the days of the dinosaur. Because mankind's timeline on this planet is very, very short. It's like we discussed the other night, that I honestly think that maybe we are the alien species that were brought here or dropped off here, and that we encroached upon the Sasquatch and the lizard reptilian beings that inhabited this planet, that were descendants of dinosaurs and great apes.
And maybe they want to try to take it back. There may be actively some kind of underground resistance going on against the humankind that overtook this planet and took away their birthright, you might say. It's a possibility we are the aliens. That's like that old saying, look in the mirror. You may see the aliens looking back. That is an interesting hypothesis. Definitely. And like I said last night, if I were going to pick out one species of being that would overrun a planet and do that, it definitely would be humankind.
Saying it's an
Well,
interesting hypothesis means I'm just crazy.
well, we are one species. We are one species that invade and take over and try to dominate everywhere we go.
We do it to our own kind. We do it wherever we go. We did it to the moon. We'll do it to Mars. That's just the way that goes. That's just what kind of a species we are. It's very much like these. I don't know if you ever seen the things about the soldier ants. Have you ever seen them invade a plantation? I mean, they eat everything. They eat the wooden handles off of hose, and I mean, they really invade. They know how to do it. Well, that is sort of a prototype of humanity. That's the way we do. You know, when we move into an area, you know, we take care of whatever's there and take it over. This has been happened. This has happened and been repeated throughout history so many times it's not even funny. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. And look at the other flip side to it. What we have done to the animal kingdom. You know, we wasn't satisfied to just live with the lions, the tigers, and the bears. We had to domesticate animals. We had to domesticate horses. We had to turn these animals to what? Tools for us. And they are to this day. They're not only tools, they're food. I don't think that was meant to be from the beginning like that, but it has involved with that. Look at and take a look at the dogs, the many different breeds of dogs that we have bred. And we've done that. They don't naturally occur in nature, you understand? We did that. We have sheep herding dogs. We have cow herding dogs. We have dogs that we use for tools. We use them as canines. We use them in the army. They are weapons of war. Come on, that's what mankind does with whatever he touches. He messes it up, I think, to a certain degree. But
Yeah,
he
you
twists
guys,
it.
you
It's
guys might have
twisted
to change
and
your Friday show. You guys
Yeah.
might have to change your Friday show that humans are the real monsters.
Yeah. And we really are. We are the real monsters. I found that out a long, long time ago. And you know, when you see crime, like the serial killers and all that, you know what real, true human evil is. I don't think, you know, we even need a Satan or devil to push us to go. We already take care of that. We don't need it. Of course, he may be there. He may be there helping us along, you know, just for the heck of it. But we do pretty good on our own. You know, look how we treat other human beings, not just the animals on this planet. And so, if I were an alien coming from another planet, I would be very wary of you human beings because you are a dangerous bunch of guys.
That's like the old joke you see on the internet where the aliens go by and tell the kids to lock the doors.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? Somebody once said this. This is interesting, girl. Are we an interesting experiment to the aliens, or are we a train wreck and they can't look away? They gotta look, see where we're going. You know, that makes you wonder. Yeah.
We're one big Jerry Springer show for the aliens to watch.
Yeah. They come here and watch us. We gotta watch these guys. They're really crazy.
You ain't gonna believe what they do next.
Train wreck. Yeah, that's it. I'm a train wreck too. I'm a train wreck myself. But anyway, maybe we're heading that way. Maybe we're heading that way, and they just can't look away. They gotta watch. You know, I can understand that.
You talked about us breeding dogs. Well, look what they're doing now. You know, bringing back extinct species like a Tasmanian devil. They're going to do the mammoth. They're taking carpet, going to cross DNA with the alligator now. So, I mean, who thinks about taking a carpet and putting alligator DNA in it?
It's not just dogs they're breeding. They're breeding people too. Don't think they're not. And they're breeding other species of things and trying to mix them up. I guarantee you that's going on. They didn't just start with dogs or horses or cows. No. It goes on deeper than that.
Oh, yeah. Plum Island tells us that.
I was reading Anita's thing here. My brother has a theory that makes sense to me. It's a long story, but it has to do with our souls. Well, that's the interesting thing about that, Anita. Our souls can be corrupted. You know, our very souls can be maligned. We can, in an essence, almost do sell our souls to certain things. You know, if we go over with them. Um, when you actually sell your soul to something, it just simply means you're getting on their side of whatever it is. You know, you're throwing your lot in with them. Uh, that to me is not good, and that is the corruption of the soul. And the human spirit is very good at corrupting whatever it wants to, not just the soul, but animals, beings, races of people, other people. It goes on and on.
Now, I've experienced this a couple of times, and I've seen videos online also where they show people just standing there staring blankly, like they have no soul. And the one that I experienced was actually in a shopping mall, and they just turned at me and looked and had this weirdest look and dark eyes, and just like nobody was home.
Let me guess, he was shopping at the Gap.
That was it.
Actually, I should have said it was the Walmart Center.
I was at Walmart. You always get very shocked when you go to Walmart or something.
Center, 2.5 miles away on Highway 28 bypass. Walmart and Walmart grocery pickup and delivery.
Uh-oh.
Shut up, Siri. Shut up, Alexis.
We could do a show just saying stuff to Alexis and see what she comes up for us.
Oh man, that was priceless. That was good.
Well, William, did you get any of those videos? You got any of those videos you want to show that I sent you?
The only thing I could do with those is take some stills, and I already showed those.
All right,
but I'll put them up here real quick. The first one is going to be a still of the Florida incident down in Homestead, Florida at nighttime, which shows, I believe, the ore.
Well, I think that's the one that actually, when it comes down, it breaks off and almost like a flares looking. They're like separate orbs floating out from each other.
Yeah.
When you play the video.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that one from seeing it before. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, you're right. It has a little bit of a tail on it. So, yeah, that's kind of a weird one, too, because that same thing was spotted in, I believe, Michigan or Minnesota also. And,
yeah, they've been all over.
So, and then the second one, I'm not sure where it's from. But this one is daylight, and you can actually see it right there, just above the tree line.
That's more like a sphere type looking.
Yeah, that's the one I sent you to, Dennis, where it goes by the motorcycle as he's sitting there, and it's a high rate of speed.
You have to wonder what. You have to wonder what if going at that kind of speed, if it actually hit an object, what it would do, if it would just disintegrate the object or if it would go right through it without a problem.
Well, it might have some kind of technology where it'll never hit anything. Who knows what they do?
If you could, if you travel through wormholes, you could definitely come up with technology that could probably change the molecular structure or something like that, you know?
Well, if UFOs and UAPs didn't exist, I'd like to know why we have this.
Mm-hmm. That's been around a long time, probably, since Wadwell, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, a very long time. I love it, though. It says, warning, this is top secret. Magic eyes only. Yeah. Okay.
And the back of Popular Mechanics.
Yep. Yep. Now, let's see here. Genetics. Let's talk about genetics for a little bit, guys. Genetic research. We know our own scientists and stuff in the United States and other countries are doing it, cloning and stuff like that, and trying to enhance the human existence. But what are your all theories on the alien possibility of doing genetic studies on us and manipulating us and basically taking women's eggs and stuff and using them to save their own race?
That's a possibility. That's one of the reasons why they find it so fascinating. They can manipulate our DNA for their own nefarious purposes. To me, that makes a lot of sense. But what are they doing with that DNA? Are they trying to make a hybrid of humans and aliens, or are they trying to come out with a better race of their own? Are they trying to fix their own DNA because it's corrupted or something? You know, you have to wonder about that.
Well, you know that they just came out with a study not too long ago where they've been manipulating our DNA or looking at our chain, and they just came out and said there's a section of our DNA that they can't explain, that they think it's alien, that they think we have some kind of chain command in our DNA that came from another species that they can't explain.
That's a possibility. You know, I think there's a definite link from the very beginning of the history of mankind with our DNA. There's something about the DNA there that attracts these things. There's got to be a definite reason behind it. But even when we talk about the Nephilim, you know, which we've done shows on, I think the Nephilim was directly connected to DNA. That it got screwed up by extraterrestrials. And how much more extraterrestrial can you get than the angelic equation to that?
Yeah.
So you got some other interesting possibilities when you start talking about the DNA complex thing. But I think it's there. It's definitely a card on the table. Oh, yeah.
Well, just like all our technology that comes from aliens or however, reverse engineering. So all our scientists now are manipulating DNA and trying to figure out how to change how the human body works or genetics and all this. Well, it had to come from somewhere.
It's all, I'm going to tell you what, the DNA is in the equation of mankind trying to find his own immortality. Okay, there's a big thing on that.
Right. Now, what do you all think about the Men in Black? What do you think they have to do with this whole alien and type of activity that they're seeing reported seeing Men in Black afterwards or intimidating witnesses and all that?
I've seen them. Okay, I've seen them with my own eyes. I had to run in with them, and to me, they were definitely not real human beings like you and I are. What they are, I don't know. The question is still open, but they are not definitely, to me, human. I think some of them may be human. Some reported may be actual government agents. So you got a foggy thing going on here with that. It could be one way or the other, but I think some of them are definitely downright non-human.
Well, most of them that I've read the reports or seen videos of, they say they have an eerie presence to them, but they just feel creeped out when the Men in Black show up. So I believe those are the aliens. And then you have, like the Blue Book Project, or, Dr. Hynek, and they have their investigators, and they still kind of look like the Men in Black too, but they're obviously human. So they're probably mixed together somehow, working together. And then most of the witnesses say when the alien ones approach them, they get that creepy feeling. Before they leave, they say, "Don't ever talk about this again, or we'll be back."
Well, you know something else too, girl. about that is the fact is that the government knows about. J. Edgar Hoover knew about the men in black. He mentioned them in a memo. The government knows the men in black exist, and it could be they're muddying the waters. They could have their agents kind of try to look like the men in black to intimidate people. So you got that factor as well. It could be government agents making out like they're the men from the real, men in black when they're not really the real ones. The real ones may be some type of alien agents for all we know, or demonic entities, as some people think they are. But the government could be using, and the government's good at using stuff like that. They're good at misinformation and misrepresentation. And so it could be, I think, without a doubt, the government agents are using the men in black for their own purposes.
Now, I listened to one podcast where the person was an experiencer, abduction, and they saw the UFO. Then the men in black visited them. And the reference I had was the one that turned back towards them and told them not to speak of this again. And they said the eyes went to a slit like a reptilian.
Yeah. It's like I say now, if you have an advanced technological thing, you would definitely come up with either a hologram or something. You could put forth a different image of yourself to fool people. And it may not be a perfect thing. We can see a little chinks in their armor sometimes. But I'm going to say this. When it comes to the men in black, they have a very demonic almost influence about them, because I've seen where many people have talked about their visits with the men in black. And they said, and here's the interesting thing about it. A lot of the times they don't remember everything that happened. And then sometimes they say, I talked about things I never would have talked about. I told them things I never would tell a stranger. Why did I do that? It's almost like they have some type of a hypnotic effect on them, some kind of almost downright demonic influence over these people that they talk to. And then there's the other factor that you hear so much about is the fear factor. These men in black cause that fear in these people. And the same thing happens with the black-eyed kids. So what you're dealing with here, I believe, are downright supernatural entities. That's the way they sound like to me.
Well, I really believe that when they show up and you see a human form, I think it's more of a mind control that they can project in our minds, that they control what we see. And then when they give us that little glimpse of their eye turning, that's the warning to them, say, hey, you know who you're messing with.
They would have to have some kind of technology to do that. There would be something going on. You don't just walk up and control someone's mind. You don't get them to start talking to you and all that. There's got to be some way about it that they're doing it. And if it's not a technological type way, it definitely is a supernatural thing, okay? Because you don't, it's unless they're very highly psychic or something that we don't know about. That's another possibility. There's some kind of influence going on here that doesn't sound good. Whatever way you look at it, these guys are not good guys. Okay?
No.
They're not the good guys.
Either they're demonic or they have some kind of supernatural ability to them. And they could be on a whole different consciousness plane than we are, and be able to know how to manipulate everything around us.
And look at the aliens, Gerald. It's a possibility that aliens, being highly advanced technologically wise, could also be spiritually advanced to the point where they are almost like supernatural beings. That's another possibility. If they are an older race of beings and they have gone so far beyond us technologically wise, they would also have gone past us spiritually wise as well. They would have to have a mental capacity that far exceeds ours. And we do know that the spirit manifests in the mental part of our being. That's where the soul is. And it's all connected in that respect. And if these beings are highly advanced, then they definitely have them advanced much more spiritually than we would be in that respect. And psychically as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also agree with the theory of them being partly demonic too, if not all fully demonic, um, in nature. But there's been reports of well, I think there was a pastor in believe it was Ohio that was investigating the Men in Black, and they were sitting in the basement of their rectory and with other researchers and stuff that were helping them, and the Men in
They were
Black
going through
manifested,
files.
yeah, manifested itself in a very demonic way. Um, so I almost have the theory that they are a demonic base entity as a base. They are demonic.
And when
But I
I had
believe
mine, when I had
I
my
believe that
encounter with
they're
them,
I believe that they're actually responsible for trying to keep mankind intimidated because of the fear factor thing that we always talk about.
well,
Go
when
ahead,
I
Dennis.
had my encounter, I definitely had a demonic feeling from that. I mean, having encountered the demonic many different ways, I picked up on that immediately when I saw him. I always thought at the beginning, I always had a kind of the opinion maybe they're, either aliens or government agents or something. But when I actually saw them or they wanted me to see them, and the way they just disappeared and got gone, it's downright demonic in my book. Definitely, I have to put 100% by it.
Now, what do you think? Did you get the feeling that that was a living being, or do you think it was like a shell that had, it might have blood and muscle and stuff, but then because I heard a podcast the other night and it kind of made me think that like the ancestral or Akasha record where you're being sent and being controlled. That's why we have so many great artists and so many great writers that they're superior beings sending it down to them and controlling them or helping them.
I see what you're saying.
Well,
It's a
they had
possibility.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah they had that same theory with Nikola Tesla. Was is a perfect example of that. Where he used to say he was receiving information. Albert Einstein's the same way. He said he was receiving information.
The
Socrates,
real, the real
yeah.
said they had information. Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
just wondering if the Men in
So,
Black or somebody might be getting downloads or whatever about what's going on and knowing how to show up and how to change or they're being controlled by another entity.
Well, that is demonic possession, is it not, so to speak? You have to think about that as well. The demonic can possess and influence from a great distance. I've seen that happen. And here's another aspect of it. If they're not demonically possessed people or supernaturally possessed or whatever the influence is over them, then they are the actual thing. Okay, they're the actual being. And they can appear to be human when they want to. And like I've said this statement many times, people think I'm joking, but I'm not. There's a lot of things out there walking around that are not really human. They may look human, but they're not. But then you've got some humans that used to be human, but they're
Yeah.
not human anymore.
Right.
So you got some stuff going on out there that's some really really weird crap.
yeah, true,
Absolutely.
true. Now, what do you all think about not getting off the Men in Black subject because this kind of ties into it? But as far as the cattle mutilations going on across the country and Mexico and Canada and even South America, you also hear reports of human mutilation. Humans being found along roadsides that are mutilated or along riverbeds or something or lakesides, being mutilated, just like the cattle's being mutilated. Kidneys removed, livers removed, tongues removed, eyelids removed, laser precision. What do you all think about that? what's your your theories on all the mutilation going on?
Well,
I think some
I
of
think,
it. Okay, go ahead, Gerald.
all right. I was just gonna say when you hear about where there's no blood, or if you gut an animal out in the field, there's blood everywhere. I mean, just being a hunter, so it's hard to control your footprint that you're leaving behind. And all these mutilations, they're like cauterized, like you said, laser precision, like they're cutting it out. They know exactly right where to cut. And the same thing with the humans they're finding. Their eyeball sockets are completely dried out and their eyes are missing, or their tongues or whatever else is being taken out of their bodies. And there's no trace of anything around them or any blood trails or internal organs left anywhere.
Well, that sounds to me like, I mean, if you were to do that out in the field with a knife, you're going to definitely leave some blood. You're not going to do it that way. That sounds to me very much like some type of machinery is in place here, some type of surgical machinery of some sort. And it sounds very alien technological type stuff, because I don't think we've got too much in place in our technology that could do that out in the field without leaving some type of traces. And here's another interesting aspect you might want to think about. A lot of this, especially human mutilation, ties into ritualistic killing and murder. You got a really ritualistic looking thing going on here.
Yeah, not only do you have to worry about serial killers, but now you got to worry about serial aliens.
It might be a possibility. Yeah, Charles Manson from outer space here, okay? John Wayne Gacy's coming to see you in a flying saucer, kind of a thing. But you know what? That shows you that they're the bad guys to me. Okay, if there was just one factor in all of this, it would be the cattle mutilations and the human mutilations as well. It shows you that these are not the good guys. They're the bad guys. They're not doing good stuff here, And that's what makes me put them in the bad guy category.
Well, they obviously have no conscience or feeling about how they're impacting us. We're like a second thought to them, like we're the experiment to them, and it doesn't matter that we're living, breathing human beings.
We're no more than cockroaches to them. That's about it.
Yep. And that's been my theory too, is that we are basically living inside a petri dish. Our world is a petri dish. We are a science experiment to these.
We are the experiment.
Yeah, we are. We are the guinea pigs, And that's what happens when you're the lowest intelligent life on, in a certain, usually treated like you're the abnormal and ridiculed and investigated and hacked and all kinds of stuff, So
has there ever been,
maybe
has there ever been any reports where people have been improved by any of these experiments instead of killed or mutilated?
Some people claim to have been healed, but that's not that much to it. I don't think.
Not by.
Here's the thing
not by mutilation, Bennett. But not by mutilation. They've been claimed to being healed from a psychic kind of a connection.
Or being taken on ships too. They say that certain things happened to them after they were taken, after they left the ship. And of course, you got the thing about implants as well. Why are there implants? If you're gonna do an experimentation, true scientific experimentation, and I talk about this in my book Beyond the Shadows, the way you truly investigate something, you put it in a contained place. You have a containment about it, and you want it in its most natural setting, but yet you want to observe and manipulate it the way you want it to go to ascertain information out of it. That's the way you scientifically experiment. I think aliens would do the same. You know, that's the criteria you use to get information.
So you think they're using us as a control group, and then they're going back to their own species or planet and improving them from what they're learning from us?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading this. It says abnormal.
Yeah, I used to live in Normal, Illinois, and one of my friends' dad used to always say, "Still living in Normal?" Yeah, he goes, "On Ab Street, I bet, huh?"
Oh God, that's one of my favorite movies. We got to do a Hollywood monster movie. So, but yeah, thank you, Wild Bill. I needed that.
Well, that's a North Carolina cryptid thing there. They need our organs to help with their hibernation. And it could be another thing that that we are part of their immortality. Maybe they're taking parts of us that they need for certain things to extend their life. That's another possibility too. We got a lot of interesting possibilities in that mutilation and all, and abduction thing going on. An interesting thing about abduction, though, is the thing that it does to people's minds afterward. It's not just the body; it's the fallout from it, the psychic, mental fallout from these abductions. Is not good at all. I mean, it's almost like PSTD or something, you know. People become fearful. I've talked to people that have been abducted, and they say, "For the rest of my life, I'll watch the skies. I won't be the same person anymore. I'll be different. I'm watching. I'm fearful. They're going to come back and take me again." You know, and you can't. That is a definite human reaction, emotional reaction to something like that, and that tells you that that person has experienced something far above the normal. So you're getting into that abnormal thing. There's something far above the normal that they've experienced. I have seen that so many times with people I've interviewed. You know, half of investigation is interviewing people, and you got to be very good at interviewing people to get the information you want. And when you see this fear in people's eyes, you hear it in their voices, you see it in the reaction of their bodies, you know these people have experienced some type of a trauma that caused this. You know, it's kind of hard to lie about something like that. You know?
Well, it's definitely a traumatic experience. I mean, whether you're actually taken and being up on a ship, or you're in your bed with night terrors and then you wake up and there's an alien standing next to your bed, or, you know, it's not like the Men in Black movie where they put the little pin in front of you and flash your memory so you can just go about your life and live a ho-hum life and never know about it. But everybody wakes up and starts having these memories and start, was that a dream, or is that really an experience? They start coming forward with all these stories.
Yeah, but and that's a great theory, though, Gerald. That's a great theory. But what if our technology, our TV screens, our laptops, our computers, our cell phones were that red device to give us that normalcy life and not see the alien aspect of it?
You're getting into the Matrix now. The control experiment that I mentioned earlier. You control it, you manipulate it to find out what you want from it, or get whatever it is you want from it. That would be the perfect way to do it. Look at the technology. They would use our technology against us in that way. And that would not surprise me a bit if they were doing that, because look at the great weapon and tool that would be in their favor. Yeah.
Well, there's only two ways they can do that, and either they wipe our memory so we don't realize it, or they throw so much at us that we get used to it and we just don't care about it no more. It's like just like the murders you
Oh,
see all the time on TV. You see it so often, it's almost like mind numbing. You like
or or they're implanting fake memory. That's another
there you go.
possibility. Yeah.
Do you
I
guys
had a lot of
remember
people tell me that they've had abductions, they've had abductions. They say, I don't trust my own memory anymore.
now, do
Yeah.
you all remember hearing back in the 90s about the guy that was accusing the government of shooting like impulses into his brain, and he had to like fortify his room with aluminum to keep from bugging him
I
24/7?
remember talking about that.
Yeah, it was somewhere out in the Southwest, but he was apparently he accused the government of using him for research and all this. He accused them of the kind of the men who stare and go type of a thing, with the ESP and all that treatments through
I
the
believe
military. And
I believe the
yeah, go
Mel
ahead.
Gibson movie about conspiracy where he lived in a bunker in an apartment complex and he had the foil and the booby traps, where he was actually part of the super soldier, where the government was trying to get to him and turn him on and off. I think it was based on that incident, that whole movie.
You hold on, fellas. Let me go put my tinfoil hat on here. Okay. By the way, that's how you make a Faraday cage. Tinfoil. You put it in a box, put your phone in there, they can't find you, okay? It's got to be a very thick tinfoil, too. But
you got to get back to the old tinfoil, not the stuff these days.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yep. Let's see if anybody in the chat's got any questions for you guys. Since we got you here, we're gonna pick the brains even more than I do. Let's see.
That's true. You can get sensitized to certain things that are repetitive. Have you ever wondered about religious chanting? They say the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and repetitive, and that's all. It puts it in your mind better, though. It gets into your mind in a subliminal type way.
I don't own that.
Except your wife says that she could be telling you, but you never listen. Okay.
Well, that's normal for me. Just ask her.
You don't penetrate. I hang in.
Yeah.
Some of us are hard-headed. That's we're just too hard-headed.
Actually, on that comment,
that's what that guy said. Girl said he was too dumb to be hypnotized.
On that comment, it said sensitized. It's actually desensitized.
Yeah. Desensitized and hypnotized.
Yeah.
That's very true. North Carolina, about the instance of Dogman and Sasquatch. They say, here's what, and I've had this happen to my own self, and here's what I've said. Even after I saw the UFO that I saw and other things that I saw, I've been haunted ever since then by one question in my mind, and that is, what else is out there? If this exists, if this is here in this time and period in time and space, what else is out there? And that bottle that gets in your mind and plays a little mind game with you. And what else is it? Or am I going to see Bigfoot again? Is he gonna show himself to me again? That thing is still in your mind and it never goes away. It's gonna always be there. It's just part of what you experience, especially when it comes to the supernatural and the paranormal.
People out that do hunting, deer or whatever, and they say you have buck fever. Well, you get the same thing when you come across a cryptid, whether it's Bigfoot or Dogman. You're almost just like terrorized and standing there like, okay, like a terror. So then what else is out there, like you said, that we don't see or don't know of? Like when I hear of the people talking about shadow people and you see them crawling across the wall, now you start to see stuff out of the corner of your eye, like, what was that? You start becoming sensitive to these things, what's in your surroundings then.
Well, that was the very first thing that hit my mind. That day that I saw those demonic entities. And I didn't really want to believe what I saw. Your mind starts saying, did I see that? You start questioning your own self. But I eventually had to say, yes, I did see that. I can't lie to myself. I did see it. And that's what came afterward. What else is out there? What else am I not seeing in this world? Everything, the whole world's perspective changes for you in an instant in time. That's the way it goes.
Yep. What are they allowing us to see and not to see?
Or maybe we're lucky enough to see. I've had some people come to me and say, I never saw a single thing paranormal in my whole life. You're a lucky person to have had so many experiences. Am I really? Lucky? Or am I being picked on? Okay. You have to wonder that. You really do.
I voice for being picked on. Yeah. I vote for being picked on. That's the way I do.
Someone kind of like out there singles you out, says, "Oh, let's get this guy here, okay? Let's really punch him a little bit."
Yeah. What do we care? Nobody's going to believe him anyway.
That's right. He can say what he wants, and nobody's going to believe him. That's what I said on the podcast the other day. I could have my picture taken with Bigfoot and Elvis. Nobody'd ever believe it. Why am I banging my head against the wall for that? I've said this before. The number one thing of the investigators is not to prove anything to you. I can't prove anything to you. You need to have the evidence that I have, and then maybe you can make your own assertion to it. That's what you do. You research it. That's what you don't take anything for base value. Anything I tell you, I could be wrong. I could be misled by something. You need to go check it out yourself and then come to that conclusion. But as being a paranormal investigator, my job is not to convince you of anything. That's not my job. My job is to investigate and understand for myself. And then if you want to look at my evidence, if I have any, or you want to look at my notes or my information that I got, there's nothing wrong with that. That's good. That's a good thing. But my job is not to convince you. Here, you got to believe this. Look at this picture. Let me say that. That's not my job. That's not what my job should be.
Once you open up your mind, or you have that mindset that stuff is out there that we can't explain or we can't see or whatever, all doors start opening. You start, once, say you're a Bigfooter, and then pretty soon you start seeing or believing in Dogman or Mothman, or then you have UFO experiences because you keep opening your mind. So if one thing's believable to you, why isn't all the other things?
But you gotta, you can't just foolish, offhand and just believe something because you want to believe it. I'm not that way. I want to have the evidence. I want to see for myself, is that what's going on, whatever the thing is. But just because somebody comes up and tells me something, shouldn't be that I want to believe it just because I want to believe it. We let belief get in our way too much, especially when you investigate. You can screw yourself up by doing that. You can suspicion of something, you can suspicion something and say, well, maybe it's this way or that way. But you don't want to go over into the belief until you have absolute proof to back it up,
Well, I'm just saying that once you experience something of one type or another, whether you're a Bigfooter, a ufologist, or whatever, once you experience that and you start going down that rabbit hole or that trail, searching for that your whole life, then pretty soon, you got to wonder, Well, okay, I experienced Bigfoot, and these people over here are experiencing dogmen. So there's got to be a connection or
Well,
something to that.
well, you think about it this way. You say, well, if there is a Sasquatch, and it's not that far-fetched that it couldn't be a dog man, but you still need the proof. You know what I'm saying? You're thinking, you're supposing something, but then you need to go and investigate it. That's what investigation is all about, is to find out what's going on. But you got to have an open mind, but you don't want your brain to fall out. You know? That's where that goes. But that's what investigation is all about, is trying to ascertain something. You know, in law enforcement, you can't stop someone just because you want to stop someone from something. You got to have reasonable suspicion. You got to be reasonably sure something's going on there. You know, that may be law breaking. You know, kind of a thing. You can't just walk up and say something to somebody. You got to have a reasonable suspicion. You know, and that's the way we should go with our investigation. We got to have a reasonable suspicion that something is going on there, and then we need to find out about it. But you can't. Here's what I've told a lot of people, Gerald, and I've mentored a lot of people over the years in paranormal research. Don't go in believing something. Go in finding out something. Find out about it, but don't go in believing it's there. You know, because you'll plant that seed in your mind, and you'll screw yourself up. You'll see something that may not necessarily be true. We don't need to let our belief get in the way of our investigative techniques, and our opinion get in the way of what we need to be doing here. We have to stay as analytical, as middle of the road as we can until we go one way or the other. I've always envisioned in my mind like a pair of scales. You know, so if something falls down on this and pulls it up the other way, I can go with that. You know.
Now how many investigations or reports do you think our minds portray, like you say, what we want to see compared to what actually really happened? I mean, we do project stuff onto things, like thinking, okay, what was that? Did I just see what I saw? You know, was it your mind that you're so set on seeing Bigfoot or a paranormal thing that you make yourself believe that it happened? Or, I mean, sometimes people are in a group and experience the same thing, so it might, I don't know.
That's like what people, Gerald, they go out and they do a sky watch and they see a satellite, and that's a UFO to them. I mean, something's very obviously a satellite, but they want to believe it's a UFO. You know, who are they fooling? They're fooling themselves. They're making themselves look stupid. Okay, for no reason. If I'm gonna look myself look stupid, I want to be for a good reason. Okay, but I mean, they're letting their belief get in the way of what is really there, and we need to watch that. Question everything and research for the proof. That's very true. That's what investigation is all about.
Well, what do we always say, Dennis?
When we first started videotaping our backyard, the night sky, you know, I was kind of opposite of what we're talking about. I thought everything was airplanes or satellites or the International Space Station until stuff started going.
You can go the other way.
Different ways.
You can go the other way. You can go. Well, you don't want to be too critical. You don't want to be too critical of that shades your opinion too. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say you got to stay middle of the road there. You know, until you go over to one side or the other when you've got the evidence, the empirical evidence. Okay, not just the evidence you think is something. You got to have the empirical evidence. You know.
Yeah, I was the same way. You know, I was thinking satellites and, you know, just stuff in the sky until you see that one go. It's like, that ain't normal.
That's a different thing. Yeah. But, you know, that's what I tell people when they do sky watches. And I enjoy doing sky watches because there's a lot of stuff going on up there. A satellite always moves in a straight line. You know, it doesn't.
Yeah. What about the ability to go through transmedia, like going from air to into the earth or going from air into the water? What about something along that lines? What do you think kind of technology it would take to do that?
That to me would speak of some very high technology, and the higher technology you go, you have to suspicion alien type things. You know.
Well,
now, what do you all think about? Yeah, what do you all think about the USO then?
Yeah, because obviously, from a kid jumping in the water, how hard water can actually be an impact to your body. So you got to imagine they're manipulating the atoms somehow to make room for them to slide right through whatever they're going through
without coming apart. It's the same thing with the air. The air is the same way as the water if you move in certain ways. Like I said earlier, planes can only do even jet planes can only do certain maneuvers without coming apart in the sky. You know, the G forces on it. You're looking at a technology beyond what we have when you see things move in that manner. I'm saying it's got to be that way. USOs are definitely things. I have actually talked to a lot of naval officers about USOs. They have seen some pretty freaky things in the ocean. They have seen actual lights, which could have been subs. There are a lot of submarines out there, but they have seen things that said that subs can only move at a certain speed. Okay, even nuclear submarines. These things far exceeded that speed under the ocean. Okay, what is that?
Well, there's all kinds
beyond our technology.
There's all kinds of report from ancient mariners or old-time fishermen seeing the lights under the sea way before we had any subs that we knew about.
They thought they were cities under the sea. They thought that's what it was, like Atlantis supposedly and all that. They thought there were cities under the sea. These lights that they saw. That's been talked about for hundreds of years.
We had to get Captain Nemo from somewhere.
Columbus. Was it Columbus? I think had on his record that they actually saw ships go into the sea. They saw lights going into the sea on some of his voyages.
Almost every explorer that was back in the day had reports in their logs of seeing lights under the waters.
Uh-huh. People under the water, the mermaids and the mer people.
Ariel, under the sea. I like SpongeBob.
SpongeBob.
Anyways, let's see. What else do we need to cover with these the alien UFO subject here? We've gone through cattle mutilation, genetics, USOs, transdimensional, timeline, Men in Black. Wow, we've covered quite a bit in an hour and a half. So, wow. I can't even think of anything else. Anybody in the chat got any questions or
That's
comments
right.
they want me to?
Open for questions here. Hit us with some questions.
All right. Hit them up, guys. Hit them up with questions. Get them. Nail 'em.
Yeah, that was interesting episode about the UFOs that were saw on the West Coast. I read some about that, and they also fall in line with those lozenge type shaped UFO craft supposedly they've been seen. The Navy fighters tracked those. They said that some of those went down into the ocean.
You get down around, I think it is Puerto Rico and places like that. They see them all the time. The fishermen are out there at night and they see the glow underwater and they see them come up out and just they're gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Columbus had it was a crazy Italian guy. Okay, He had some really weird ideas. Which is why they call
Actually,
American
Stephen, it's been
Indians
over an hour
to
and a half.
this day. That's why I said that's why they call American Indians Indians to this day. They had nothing to do with India, but that's what he thought. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wish I want one of these so I can freshen myself up after drinking all this coffee.
So do you think USOs are part of our military project, or do you think they're actually all alien craft or something else? Because you got Admiral Byrd saw UFOs come out of the cavern in the Antarctic. So was it us? Was it them?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll put this forward to you. There is an Area 51 in the ocean, it's off the Bahamas.
Right.
Why is it there, and what are they doing with it, So that probably falls in line with your question. They're probably experimenting with some freaky underwater type craft.
So that brings up the question: is the Bermuda Triangle governmentally made to keep you away from their bases, or is it really a mystical place?
Yep. I say if you get
I don't believe
close
it's
to
a
it,
mystical place.
the boats will come out and get you.
Yeah, I don't believe it's a mystical place.
Just like you said, false events. What would be better than taking a big square mileage off our coast where you have a base and start making planes and everything disappear and telling everybody that and making their radars go crazy to keep them away from you?
Because there have been stories about that long before our country was even founded about that being a mysterious spot. Has more to do with ley lines and magnetic anomalies than anything. Vortexes. Yeah. Yep.
Well,
but
that's
been a mystery spot for thousands of years.
The government knows that, and the government, I tell you, the government has an office of misinformation and misrepresentation. They know about the Bermuda Triangle, and I'm sure they use that to keep people away from certain areas if they want to scare people away or keep them guessing maybe that some of their experiments are causing some of that stuff. It wouldn't surprise me a bit. It's like the old haunted house trick, about like it was on the Andy Griffin show where the moonshiners were scaring everybody away from the haunted house, because they had a steel in it,
Yeah.
That's the way the government works, Keep them away, scare them away. They did that in the Philippines in World War II. They had some of the Philippines believing that there were monsters out in the jungle and it was them doing it. The government's good at that kind of false information.
So there's actually six triangles across the world, whether it's Alaskan, Bermuda, or the Devil's Triangle, and so I don't know. I don't think we'd have bases in every single one of those, but
that may be naturally occurring vortexes.
There is more than six triangles, though, because you got the Great Lakes Triangle, you got the Bridgewater Triangle, you got the Alaskan Triangle, you got the Bermuda Triangle, you got the South Africa Triangle. You have there's more than just that. I think that the whole triangle theory is if you take the Earth and you map out all the triangles and you continue with the triangle pattern, I believe it's all the way around the world. You can find certain areas over certain, where ley lines cross or whatnot,
Fall in with the ley line. The ley line thing is what I think is going on with some of that. And these may be naturally occurring vortexes in certain areas like that. And the number one abnormality to it is the magnetic anomalies of it. That you find your deviational magnetic compasses and stuff. There's something definitely going on,
Now, do you think the cryptids are getting power from any of these triangles? So that's why they're more highly concentrated where these ley lines or magnetic forces meet?
What's the possibility that some of these cryptids are connecting to the Earth energies that are there? Yeah. Earth energy is everywhere. This whole planet is covered in Earth energy. We are part of the Earth energy. Matter of fact, we have a certain amount of that energy in us. I'm sure they have that connection too. Especially with ley lines and stuff like that.
Now, let's see here. Yep, that's always a good theory.
Wild Bill's getting wild.
My story, and I'm sticking to it.
There are vast, I'll answer this also, Sue. There are vast unknown oceans beneath our planet. Definitely. I think somebody said the other day that the fresh water on this earth that we know about, is only a fraction of the fresh water that exists under the ground. So you're looking at vast oceans of water.
There's really no fresh water left on the surface of the planet, that's for sure, because mankind screwed that up.
Oh, yeah. That
So
is
you
true.
think
The triangles do intersect and lay along ley lines. And wherever these ley lines cross, you have magnetic anomalies and you have strange paranormal anomalies going on.
So to kind of go along with the inner Earth, do you think the Loch Ness monster and say the big thunderbirds come from inside the Earth and come out and be seen and disappear back inside?
Don't make me break out my inner Earth map.
Are you a Hobbit expert?
Down and now. Here it comes.
All right.
I don't believe that the world is a globe. Let's put it that way. I believe it's more of a almost an egg shape. Because you look at a lot of the alien.
We call it Williams football.
Yeah. We look at it as egg shaped, because in order to have an as above and so below, you have to have that throughout the whole encompassing. Okay. It's not to say as above as in the sky and below as in the surface of the earth. Okay. You're supposed to be able to say as above as in like the surface of the earth and as below as in inner earth. I believe that through a lot of the maps that I have, and I'll bring the maps up tomorrow on tomorrow's podcast, that they show specifically where there's geographical regions where so-called cryptid creatures can come out of and forage at nighttime and all that, and go down inside deep cave systems under the ground, because we've got them all over the planet. I mean, if you want to talk hollow earth, just come where I live. I mean, every 5 miles you have a cavern for tourists, So I mean, it's like
if you're gonna hide somewhere, what's the perfect place to hide?
Exactly. And if you think about all the mining and stuff over the years, and all the mines that have been shut down, all the silver mines, the gemstone mines and stuff that go down, diamond mines, and all the oil drilling and stuff that that we do into the earth. There's all kinds of little secret ways that they can get around without us even knowing. You go up into West Virginia and you have literally thousands of abandoned mine shafts, thousands of them in one county. I mean, there is, and then you have cave systems on top of that. So, you know, I mean, their ability to move around underneath our feet is very, very easy. Very easy. So,
and, they're
you
worried,
know,
William. They're worried about some of the towns there because they may fall in the earth. There's so many tunnels honeycombed under them. They're worried about sinkholes opening up and swallowing the
Yep.
town. You know, that's weird. But that's
Well, you
and
get,
then
you know,
look at the
it's theorized. It's theorized that there may be a whole honeycomb network of tunnels throughout the world. That you could go from one part of the world to the other and never go above ground.
you get back to our original conversation where you had the reports of reptilians being down there in those tunnels, and they tell us when we go down, whether it's the dumbs or whether it's the human trafficking, whatever you want to talk about, that they tell them, no, you can't go past this level.
Yeah. See, even somebody in the chat thinks that the whole honeycomb theory is correct, and I believe it. I believe that it is. You know, and I'm not talking that the inner Earth has its own sun or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. You know, there can be pockets of inner Earth to where the surface sunlight and the surface rain actually they can experience that too. But you know, you just can't help but fathom the subject of inner Earth, because even the blue holes that they're finding in the oceans are, you know, sometimes they're like over a mile deep, you know, and go on and on and on to where mankind can't get down to. I mean, there is so many places on this planet that we live on that they can maneuver through. And we know for fact.
I think without a doubt. I think without a doubt that the rise of humanity on this planet drove these beings underground. That was the only escape they had. They couldn't go off planet. They had to go underground. Look at the stories about the fairies of the Celts, the Fey people. Look at the stories that the American Indians tell about the Moonite people that live in the caves, the giants that lived in the caves. That's the perfect place to go if you're driven out of your territory. The perfect place to go would be to go underground. That would be the only way to survive, you know.
Oh, that's why I'm in the basement today. It's too peoply outside.
Mm-hmm. And that's why you have such a connection between so many cryptids and the reptilians, like you said, and all these other things are connected to caverns and underground places. There are even talks, I don't know if you know about this, but there are said to be some type of reptilian beings that come out of the sewers in Los Angeles at night and abduct people. For what reasons, we don't know. Or whether they're food source or what. You've had that going on. You have that supposedly happening in every large major city in the world, that there is an underground race of beings. And I'm not going to say that they may have the mindset that we have, you know, but they are there. Like this, like that movie, you remember Chud, the Secret Underground Dwellers, you know, or something, that was the name of it. Those things may truly exist. That's the perfect place to hide, to go underground. Well, that's where I'd go, you know, if I wanted to survive and get away.
We had the old movie, The Mole People.
Yeah, the mole people and all that. That was an underground civilization. So you've had these stories for thousands and thousands of years that have haunted mankind, of these underground civilizations and everything. There's the boy. How you feeling, Jacob? How you doing, buddy? Huh? You doing all right, buddy? There he is.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is. Oh, yeah.
Feeling better?
Oh, he's getting rambunctious. He's definitely tender on his right side.
Oh yeah, he might have pulled a muscle or something there, you know. My dog did that one time. He hurt his. Actually, I tell you what happened to my dog one time, and you have to be very careful about the collars. My dog was kind of scratching himself, and he got his claw hung in his collar. and he really hurt his leg doing that, you know. So those, I've got an hour at night when I'm not around. I can't, you know, I don't see him. I take his collar off so that doesn't happen again. He kind of hurt his leg doing that, though. The dogs can pull muscles just like we can, you know. They can pull muscles.
Yeah. I'm gonna put him back out on the couch.
When you get older, you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
He's a good boy, and he's no spring chicken. He's no spring chicken. He's older than all of us. So.
You can tell he's not quite as chipper as he usually is there.
No, he's not quite himself. So I'm gonna put him back out there.
He's usually giving you a good facial by now.
Yeah,
I know.
He's
not acting like himself.
Yeah, he's not himself. So I'm gonna put him back out there. I'll be right back.
All right. Getting back to like William said, you know, the inner earth with he didn't believe that there was sunshine, you know, and all that.
Yeah.
You have reports of inner cave workings, and even in Antarctica where the bacteria glows fluorescent and lights up your area as you get further down in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering if they would still, if they found plant life.
The center of the earth has a molten, almost like an inner sun to it. It's a molten, fiery, so many degrees. So you really have like a sun inside the earth to a certain extent, you know. That would have to leak up to the caverns above, you know. So you have that possibility as well. There have been, like Admiral Byrd talked about, certain things about the Arctic and the Antarctic, where certain cave systems were found that had pollen on the outside of them. Where did that come from? You know, it didn't drift thousands of miles away to get there. It probably came from somewhere close by. But look at that, you've got ice fields below zero, and what you got with pollen on the ground there, you know? Where's that coming from?
Then you got the stories of Shangri-La where you go in and it's just a beautiful world of plants and water and trees and birds and wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
well, you know, there are certain places in the world with plateaus that have been unexplored by man. The plateaus, there could be anything on some of these plateaus in South America and places like that haven't been explored. So a lot of this planet is still unknown. A lot of it.
I mean, you could just go through a fissure somewhere and be in a whole new world that, you know, that people have never explored or seen by the air right now. You know, it could be always covered with fog or
there's a cave like that. I think it's in Thailand or somewhere. There's a cave that they found like that, Gerald. It's like another world unto itself. And they have not explored it all the way into it. But they said it was like trees growing in it, plant life, water in there. You know, wherever there is water, I don't care how far underground it may be, there is life. You know?
Yeah.
You got to remember that.
Then you got these deep sport divers that go down into the cave systems to try to see how far they can go and track. And some of them said they came up into the big giant caverns that are just amazing.
Oh yeah.
And the only way they can get to them is through those tunnels that they go through that's submerged in water.
They have found new species up under the Antarctic, miles and miles below the ice that's there. So wherever you go where there's water, there's definitely some type of life. I think it would thrive underground a whole lot more. And there may be things underground that we don't even know about. I mean, there may be beings, there may be creatures that exist there that come up once in a while and are seen by certain people sometimes. That might be where a lot of your cryptids are, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, just even on Earth itself, up on top, they're discovering new species or ones they thought they were extinct or whatever. So you can imagine in the cave systems or underground that we've never seen before, let alone down in the ocean in the trenches, what's down there.
That's like I told before when I was a kid, you know, They told us, oh, the whole world's been explored. We know everything about it. That was the biggest lie they could have told us, because it's not. There's a whole lot of it that's not been explored. There could be anything down below our feet. There could be anything on some of these jungles and plateaus and cave systems we don't know about. Just like up under the ocean, there are vast areas and valleys and mountainous regions under the ocean that we don't know about, you know? So I would say maybe a quarter of this world has been explored, but that leaves a whole lot less. A whole lot left.
Well, when Africa finally splits in half and that ocean takes over, we'll have to see what comes out of
We'll
there.
have another one, yeah. We'll have a trench to go in then, won't we? It will be interesting. And or if California, some of it goes off in the ocean, and we may see some different geological changes. You know, the interesting thing about the Earth is a living thing. It's constantly moving. It's a living thing, really. It moves just like we do.
Well, if California falls off into the ocean, maybe we'll see some reptiles swimming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. My final question. I'm not sure if you guys covered this just now or not, but what do you believe the whole reptilian agenda going on?
The world is run by a secret group of reptilian humanoids from another dimension who are disguised as something beings. I didn't get all of that.
As human beings.
As human beings.
Human beings.
That's an interesting hypothesis.
I mean, I see videos all the time of, people all of a sudden their eyes start changing, their facial features start manipulating, like, their whatever they're projecting is starting to come out from their inner self. So I don't know.
Well, my own opinion, I believe the demonic has a direct connection to the reptilians and vice versa. If you want to call them that. I believe they've been with us since the beginning. I believe they would like to take over from us now. I believe that maybe their hidden agenda is to retain power over us, to come back and rule once again.
I mean, just look at that. That could almost be demonic looking. I mean, just the whole look of it. But yeah, that's probably a very good depiction. So.
Well, knowing demonology as I do, that is the depiction that demons have always been described with a reptilian nature to them. Whether it be snake, dragons, lizards, or whatever the case, that's always been that strong connection with it, and there's a reason why, I think,
Well,
I'm going out. Embedded in the government.
Oh yeah. I'm going out. I'm going out actually here in a couple weeks to investigate a location that I was informed of by a police officer buddy of mine here in Virginia, West Virginia area, of reports of reptilian activity. In fact, he said that he's got photographic proof that they do exist, and I'm going to be meeting up with him, and we're going to be going to the site that he wants to show me, but it's going to be at night to where they can't really see us. Now, I've got some specialized gear and stuff, and I've got a night vision camcorder that I'm going to take with me too. Hopefully I can get some good video to upload
Bear in mind that wherever these reports of reptilians are, there's usually a military base of some sort nearby. So be very careful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a dumb base. There's a dumb base 30 minutes from me. Not even 30 minutes, about 20 minutes from me. So yeah, I mean, you got to understand. I mean, we're close to, we're not close to DC, but we're within that geographical area, and there's tunnels going from Washington D.C. to the Greenbrier Hotel in West Virginia. So I mean,
Yeah.
oh yeah, they got shit all over this area. They really do. So
So you think they only come out at feeding time, or why do they show themselves?
I think they let their guard down, or it's accidental. I don't think that some of them are strong enough to hold the persona of being a human all the time. I think they're starting to feel the effects of that. So
There have been many reports of people actually citing cave openings that had holograms that made it look like the rest of the wall there until the holograms came down. So you're dealing with what the ancients once upon a time would have called black magic. You're really dealing with, I think, a technological type magic thing going on here that's being used for nefarious purposes. But I don't doubt without 1 minute that the reptilians are not in league with our government. Okay, that's just the way that goes. And when that happens like that, when you come up against something like that, anything goes with that. So you got to be very careful what you're dealing with.
Well, I'm just
right.
wondering
Now,
if they project.
I want to
The
answer
lizard
this
man
real
in
quick,
South
okay?
Carolina. The
Yeah,
lizard man in
I want
South
to answer.
Carolina.
I want to, yeah.
I've
I
investigated
want to
the
address
lizard
this.
man in South Carolina. Go ahead.
I think now my personal opinion on the whole lizard man in South Carolina thing is, the first actual couple sightings, I believe, were factual. I believe that basically the lizard man is probably one of those types of reptilians that have been evolved from dinosaurs. I believe that they sometimes they are alien species, but I believe that the reptilian that we're talking about, the lizard man, is an evolution change, instead of an alien species, or an interdimensional species, because it acts so primitive. Okay. And, it enjoys where it's at in the swamps where it can't be reached or hassled by mankind. I
I
believe
believe that as
also,
well.
furthermore, I believe also, furthermore, that it's an outcast from the rest
I
of the
believe that as
lizard
well.
population.
I
So,
talked with some of the people down there, and they say the swamp where this thing came out. I went to the exact location where all this happened, and they said I took my radiograph with me, and I picked up on radiation there. And I talked to the people, and I talked to somebody who knows. I can't reveal the names. They're pretty high up in the government down there, and he said it could be anything. They dumped all kind of chemicals in that swamp. He said there could be anything out there, and I feel that's where the real lizard man came from, because you're looking at a primitive thing. If it attacks car bumpers and chews on them, you're not dealing with an intelligent type of a being like that. You're dealing with more, like you say, something like a mutation of some sort, I believe.
Yeah, you got to be careful, when you talk about reptilians and then a lizard man, because there's definitely a distinct difference between them. I mean, so there's probably that way with a lot of cryptids, that there might be alien species that look like our cryptids or what we've been experiencing, and people get those confused sometimes.
Exactly. And that's the whole basis of my hypothesis is that, there is a shape-shifting alien population out there that can mimic what everybody's seeing. And I don't, we got to figure out why. Yeah. So.
Well, that's like, I talked about the werewolf. A lot of people don't know there are different types of werewolves. If you're going to get into that, just like there are different types of reptilians. They do different things, and they may be from different origins. Like, the one we're talking about is a mutation brought about by perhaps chemical processes or whatever the case may be. You're going to have different types of these beings. And you got to, it's just like when we used to talk about spiritual research. You don't know what kind of spirits you're coming up against. That's why you need to find out what it is you're dealing with, and you can take it that way. If you don't, then you're just wandering around in the dark blindly for no reason. You've got to understand what you're dealing with and what it is all about to be able to understand what's going on.
Well, you definitely would never mistake a dog man for a werewolf. And if you're going out werewolf hunting and you got silver bullets or whatever you're going to take off, that ain't going to work on no dog man.
Well, you're not going to go up to the dog man and, you're not going to go up to the dog man and say, "Where's your werewolf card?" or "You're in the union," or what,
Yeah, the part of the cryptid
I wouldn't
union.
advise it. Might be the last thing you ever did.
Well, let's nip this in the bud with the last thing to cover right now, because we're over a 2-hour mark. Is the ant people. Now, the ant people legends. The ant people of the legends of native lore were the ones that took us beneath the ground to protect us during floods and fires and stuff. The Hopi and Zuni think that our world goes through 4 cycles, and the first 3 have already been done. And the first 3 cycles, we were taken down below the earth by the ant people to protect us. So the first cycle was fire, I believe, and the second was the Great Shakening, and the third was the flood, and then we're coming back to the fire again. So, there is a connection there with the Earth cycles and an alien species that is basically sympathetic towards mankind. So, which is the ant people.
William, look at the Greek legends. The Greek legends of the Myrmidons, Achilles and the Myrmidons. His soldiers were called the Myrmidons. That's the ant people. Supposedly Zeus raised that army out of ants to help him. So you've got ant people mentioned all over the world, because you know what the Bible says about the ants and the bees. The bees are people, and the ants are a nation. They make war. They take prisoners. They hoard food, just like what people. So there's always been that correlation with the ants and ant people kind of thing.
Yeah, the ant people. Every story I've ever read or heard of, they're always a great warrior that they can defeat and overcome anything supposedly larger than them.
You're waiting for Chicken Man to show up, okay?
Chicken
Man will be long. We might invite him for dinner. Chicken Man.
Fire, ice, and flood. Yeah.
So you said
fire,
the
ice,
fire's
and flood
coming
in the
back.
fourth series of cycle. Yeah, the 4th cycle of Earth is the Great Shakening. So.
Okay, I thought you said the fire was coming back. I was gonna say we just had a big solar flare.
No, fire,
one of the biggest
ice,
ones we've had.
No. Yeah, fire, ice, and flood, and then the 4th one is the Great Earth Shakening, which, if you think about it, we've had dozens upon dozens of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions.
That, William, is also a biblical prophecy that in the end times there will be the greatest earthquake the earth has ever seen and ever known. It says it's going to knock down every building that exists. Millions will die.
Yeah.
That is a great shaking, is it not?
Yes, it is. Whole lot of shaking going on.
Yeah, see, even Ozzie Sioux says that their own First Nations people there, the Aboriginals in the outback, have the inner earth to survive. We're taking in the inner earth to survive. So, but I'll bet you there's one thing about the Aboriginals in Australia that nobody knows, and that is the fact that the reason they let flies go up their nose is so the evil spirits will get removed.
Yeah.
I've heard that. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up today, guys. We've covered pretty much everything, and if we haven't, then bring it up tomorrow morning. And that's all I
We
can
just might
say.
go off the rails tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm surprised we didn't today. We actually stayed with the whole program, and just emphasized on certain things. So, but it's been a great show. I appreciate you all being here. Everybody in the chat, I appreciate you all very much. It's been a very good day, a very good morning. I've got a very sick dog to attend to. So I'm going to have to say sayonara. 2 hours and 8 minutes.
All right.
Today.
Pretty good.
So, but I will see you all in the morning at 10 a.m. Be here or be square. Question everything, guys. Question everything. And help support the channel. Support the channel. Like, heart, and share, and subscribe. And if you can, get a Weirdo Warriors mug. They don't cost that much. So,
I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna get one. I gotta have something.
It's a good one. Yeah, I've got one on order too.
I think ours is on the way.
Yeah. So it's a good mug. It really is. So, and for $20 you can't beat it. So, anyways, I will see you all in the morning. Have a good one, guys.